Internet, welcome to Film Theory, the show that's gone barking mad. Today we're heading back into the wonderful world of Bluey, the hit animated show coming to us live from the land down under. Now in case you've missed out on this one, Bluey's all about a family of dogs known as the Healers. There's Bluey, her sister Bingo, her father Bandit, and her mum Chili. Each 8-minute episode sees them engaging in simple everyday adventures like playing keepy-uppy with a balloon or preparing for the family barbecue, all in a way that's super fun for kids and super relatable for adults.
This is great! They're learning a lesson and we get the house clean!
But what's really made Bluey iconic are the episodes that focus on the wild imagination games that the family plays, which range from whale watching to pretending there's a fairy causing mischief in the house to their dad acting as a human claw machine.
Insert coin for awesome prizes.
Legitimately, this is one of the best animated kids shows that I've seen in years, tackling all the joys and stresses that are both childhood and parenting in like the purest way possible. It is so good. True story, I started watching the show with Ollie about a year ago, and while he's now graduated up into the world of Gravity Falls, I am so proud of you, buddy. I'm still late night binging episodes of Bluey and relating hard to Bandit. But the more I watch, the more one question lingers in my mind. Is magic real in this world? You see, the imagination on display as the characters play their games really goes to the next level. Like, really. These characters are incredibly invested in their backyard adventures. Whether it's something like a very aggressive puppet.
I can handle this, Mom. Unicorn!
Ow! My back! My neck! My back and my neck! Whiplash! Call my lawyer!
To something as elaborate as becoming an escaped monkey rampaging through the yard.
Would you like to see our reptile section?
And while most of it can be written off as just parents committing to the bit to like the nth degree, there are other moments in the show that seem impossible to believe, like the episode where the kids literally learn to use magic to influence their surroundings, or when Bingo uses a feather wand to turn everything heavy.
Cereal heavy.
Oh, what's going on?
And as you really watch the show, more and more of these strange things keep popping up. These imaginary games seem to have a ridiculous amount of influence on both the characters and the world around them. Enough so that I just kind of have to ask, is magic real in Bluey? Are all of these games actually the result of the characters casting spells, hexes, and charms on each other? Well, after digging back into the world of Bluey and pulling out some classic Theorist tricks, I believe that I can definitively prove the answer to be yes. Grab your wands and sticky geckos, friends, as we dig into the bona fide evidence of the magical conspiracy taking place in the world of Bluey. Now, on the surface, you might look at a bunch of these games and just think that it's the imagination of children at work, that they're just very invested in their games. But there's commitment, and then there's just going way beyond what you'd expect to come out of real kids at these ages. Like, to the point that these games don't feel like a bunch of toddlers playing make-believe games anymore. And this is firmly on display from the very first episode of the series. In episode 1, Magic Xylophone, we see Bluey and Bingo playing with a xylophone that can freeze anyone in place. They just straight up stop mid-step and mid-sentence. At first, Bingo and Bluey use the xylophone to freeze Bandit in place and play some pranks on him, and he commits to the bit so much that he's frozen when the kids aren't around, and the neighbors start giving him funny looks. Now, to be fair, you could absolutely just chalk that up to a good old dad playing along with the kids, but here's the thing. Later in the episode, Bingo gets upset because Bluey won't let her have a turn with the xylophone, and when she finally gets a hold of it later on in the episode, Bingo uses it to freeze Bluey, and it works. If Bluey truly wants the xylophone as badly as she does, and doesn't want to play along, this 7-year-old girl, she could just easily break the rules of the game and take it from Bingo, but she doesn't. Instead, she gets a pretty serious heart-to-heart with Bingo while frozen.
You always never take turns with me, and it makes me feel sad.
Now, this wouldn't be such a big deal if this was just a one-off event, but it's not. This sort of extreme imagination game is a common occurrence throughout the series. In the episode Feather Wand, again, this is the one where Bingo uses a feather to turn things heavy, we see her turn the toilet seat heavy just as her dad's getting ready to do his business. And instead of breaking from the game, he chooses to run downstairs and relieve himself, well, it's unclear where exactly, but it's implied to be in the front yard based on Chili's scream and Bandit greeting the neighbor.
Morning, Wendy!
I mean, you could be committed to a game, sure, but in this moment, Bandit's exposing himself to his loved ones and his neighbors in a completely inappropriate way. Public indecency is literally a crime. Are you doing that just for the sake of an imagination game for your 4- and 7-year-old? Speaking of being inappropriate, there are also instances like the Season 2 episode Dance Mode, where the kids are given 3 chances to flick one of their parents' tails and say, which forces the parent to dance no matter where they are. Seems like it should be a fun game, right? Well, it would be if the kids didn't decide to use it on Chili when she's crossing the road.
Woo! Shake it, Chili!
Good morning, Wendy!
Now, obviously, this is super embarrassing for Chili, but look at her dance moves. If she were truly in full control of her body and wanted to get out of the situation, she could turn away from the crowd of cars so she doesn't have to face them, or use moves that move her further along in the street faster. Instead, she's shaking her thing in front of Wendy's windshield. Wendy apparently is just the recipient of a lot of these embarrassing healer moments. Now again, if this was just a one-off event, we could just ignore it, but it happens again to Bandit in the post office.
Are you okay? I'm fine. Just ignore this.
This right here is just disrespectful to both the store clerk and the massive line of people waiting behind him. Even when the store clerk politely asks him to stop, Bandit says that he can't.
If you could just stop dancing for a moment. I would if I could, mate. Hey, Twinkle Toes! Hurry up!
It's either magic or the healers just suck. And it's here, when the games start to affect their everyday lives, when you really start to see the pretend nature of the games break down. For instance, let's take a look at Season 3's episode Sheepdog, where Bandit pretends to be a sheep to distract the kids away from bothering their mom. But here's the thing, when Bluey isn't looking, Sheep Bandit still decides to break into Wendy's yard and start eating her laundry. He even headbutts her in the rear end when she threatens to bring in Chili. That right there, again, is a level of commitment that's either the result of magic or just extreme irresponsibility on the part of Bandit. Also, seriously, Wendy has got to be the most patient neighbor ever to be living next to these public nuisances. But the thing that really decides it is that even when the kids stop playing the game, Bandit doesn't drop the act. He is still acting like a sheep 20 minutes later, while his kids have been upstairs playing with the neighbor and his wife is just wrapping up her alone time.
Is everything okay? Yep, all good here.
Why is he still doing it when everyone else has moved on from the game? But perhaps most compelling of all is Daddy Drop-Off, when Bandit has to take the kids to school and they're running late. And yet, just as he's running to the car, Bingo finds a leaf and uses it to trap Bandit in slow motion.
Rack 'em and stack 'em, kids. We gotta...
If Bandit's late getting his kids to school, you'd think that he'd just ignore the game and get them in the car. That'd be the responsible thing. He could make something up about how school negates the imaginary game, or how this leaf isn't actually a magic wand, or literally anything so he can do the responsible thing and get his kids to school on time. But again, he acts like there isn't a choice here. He acts like he's been under a magic spell. The slow motion spell is only released when Bingo waves the wand again, leading to Bandit smacking into his car. But hold on, Bandit is released from the spell when Bingo waves the wand,